All right. Good evening, everyone. Hi. Welcome to another wonderful edition of Friday with Friends. And friends aren't limited to Miami, friends are everywhere. So today we're going a little further out in Florida, still the Florida family, to a friend in Ocala, brother Hanuman. Hello there. It's good to see you, Hanuman. Welcome to Friday with Friends.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation, and it's a pleasure being here.
You know, I got the idea of interviewing because from time to time I've seen you on Zoom, and I've always really appreciated the simple sincerity and wisdom that you shared with everyone and whatever you said, you never went out to speak your point. It just came out, and I appreciate it. And that's kind of what I like to highlight is the wisdom that each person has if they're given a chance to just share it with everyone. And so thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, that's the way I the only way I know how how to share. It's like whatever my experience is. Uh, I'm not great at lectures, but when it comes to like
You know,
sharing
it's
my
just sharing.
experience,
See, it's just sharing. I like that whole idea. It kind of takes the pressure off that it's not scholastic in any way. It's not teaching. It's just sharing. I'm guessing that you're originally from the Caribbean somewhere.
yes, originally in Guyana, and I start doing meditation since I was around 18, 19. And really helped me a lot because those were the days I was in school and also beginning to work. And so meditation has been my savior, basically,
Oh,
because to grow spiritually along, academically, and with all the things that happen at that age where you're trying to progress in life financially and otherwise, and taking care of responsibilities. It's a lot of activity, a lot of things. So meditation
and
has been the anchor,
you know that segues right into the title that everyone came up with for tonight's talk is that stillness in everyday life. Stillness in everyday life. And to me, it's almost like it's a chaos all the time. And I understand that, if I'm not mistaken, that you're a nurse by profession.
Yes, yes. I work
I
in
can't
the, go
I
ahead.
can't think of a profession that has more chaos in it than that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. And especially during the pandemic, it was quite a challenge. And you didn't have a choice to say, I don't want to go to work today. You just had to and have to. um, the amazing thing though is that the meditation, the stillness, or this faith in the self, and if you want to say faith in God, faith in the higher, the higher self. I'm trying to appeal to everybody.
Yes, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. But well, that really carried me through because the demand was for you to function at a higher level, work faster, being able to not allow fear to get in the way of your judgment, and not to make mistakes. So yeah, it is very challenging, but at the same time, it can be very rewarding. If I had a choice to do it all over again, when I look at the karma of it, the karmic relationship, um, I would choose it because the relationship with mankind, with the public, with, I enjoy it. I enjoy that. And that sets me free. It's like you feel you're always extending a helping hand rather than taking.
Let me ask you a question. That did you find that people were more vulnerable than usual?
Oh, very, very, very much. It's we had You had to deal with their relatives who are going through difficult times. You had to adjust to that. Then the suddenness, the way how everything unfolded, and the fear that every patient, everybody would have, and the way they depended on every word that you say, as if like they're desperately looking for assurance and for guidance, and to know that they're safe with you, um, and that everything will be okay. So yes, um, it is. It was. And that is why you really can't have fear. You can't think of yourself in those times. You have to think of giving. You have to listen to other people. They go
So
for it.
you would, I'm sure you would say, absolutely, it's your spiritual practice that supported you through this whole thing.
Absolutely. I wouldn't. I actually thought that I would have been afraid to go, but in the moment when people are in need, what I find that, you're not throwing caution to the wind, you're taking all the necessary precaution. But I find that you, I didn't think of my safety, and all the fear would have sort of left me. And I just felt that in this case, I would say God takes care. So God will take care. But it was really during every time I spent, let's say, if you spent 8 hours out there, or if you had to actually, and on a few occasions, I was very, very close taking care of people with with COVID.
Wow.
And even being that close, there was no fear at all.
Wow.
And I attribute that to my meditation. I attribute that to the spiritual relationship that I have with the one who cares for me, with God, who I always think he loves me.
Yeah.
Always did,
Oh, it's wonderful. I could actually feel it and see how absolutely essential it is that more than anything else, I think a spiritual person is someone who offers something to those who need, and especially at a time of need. And as a result, I'm sure that you could feel the gratitude and blessings of others to a great degree.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a very, very good thought. Blessings from others. That I feel you can live on blessings. And that's what I experienced. I'll give you one experience that I had. They were looking for anybody who had a license to give injections, because they had to give out all these COVID vaccines. And so they closed down our department because they were short on getting other, even doctors were out there joining the team to give injections and so on. And there were so many. So the goal was that you should be able to do one every 5 minutes, like that. So I'm there, and naturally, and I think this came from the meditation, from your spiritual practice, and I was able to focus on my work, on the charting, because you have to chart in the computer, you have to check, make sure everything is correct, patient is right, and going through a short history of whether they have allergies and all that kind of thing. And you had to do all of that within 5 minutes for every patient. And even when they come and sit with you, you had to still be able to, with a few words, make them feel comfortable, feeling like you see them. You're not treating them like a number. And and I was able to do that. And then one patient came up to me, and they had to be in a line, so they were looking at us, I guess. He came up and he said, something, you were very focused, and you have this power of concentration. And I didn't never thought about it that way. And then I said, well, that's the only way for me to avoid making mistakes. And it costs too much for me to go back and correct mistakes. This is the right way to do it. But I think that came from the spiritual practice, that you could shut everything out, all the noise, all the other activity, everything else, and you can just be focused on what needs to be done in this moment, and put all of your full attention into that. And what came back as a result was the blessing, and you're part of a team, and they see you as a valued member, and that, so it's like blessing comes in so many different forms, you know. But you go home, and even though your body might be tired, your mind is happy. You don't feel it.
I get it.
And I feel like blessings come in. It really helps. It does that. I
Well,
almost get longer.
I've heard many people say that, you know, especially some of our senior teachers who have said,
Mm.
I'm only alive because of the blessings and good wishes of others. And, you know, it's words that we heard, but now you truly understand it in a visceral sense. And as a matter of fact, just coincidentally, if there's such a thing as coincidence, the slogan in today's lesson was that to receive blessings as well as happiness is the sign of a spiritual effort maker. That it's what others are giving to you, and they want you to be well because you know why? Because of what you do for them. So really, what you're what you're doing for others in a real way, it's much greater than giving a lecture. Because you know, I've found that myself, like in traveling to India, and you know how hard it is to travel through and reach your destination, and somewhere along hour number 40, you're traveling and you're tired and you're maybe a little vulnerable and you're emotional, and someone comes to you and gives you a flower and something and a cookie, and you just appreciate that so much. It means more than hearing a word of wisdom because it touched you.
Right. Yeah. Talking about the visits, to India, uh, there are many changes. We've gone through during the last year or so with seniors and so on. And I can I can remember only a few things that they actually spoke to me, but their vision of you there is etched so deeply into my heart that it now has become my source of strength, and I feel even closer. So I'm glad you brought that up.
and
So
and you're passing it, as they say in what the young people say today is, you pay it forward. You know, you
yeah,
can't give back to the one who give it to you, but you can give it to those who come to you. And so what a blessing you receive by having that career and being able to work it. And now it's just going to continue and continue and continue. You're in very good company because, you know, I consider my greatest teacher to be Daddy Janke. And what
yeah.
was her job at first? Was nurse. That's what
Wow,
the
yes.
job she was given was nurse, not leader, not lecturer, not anything like that. And that's a real thing because you're working with people when they're most vulnerable, most listening, and you can impact them more. You don't have to convince them. The need
Yeah,
is right there. So, brother,
yeah,
thank you so much for choosing your profession. Thank you.
yeah. There was one thing that I want to talk about, but the topic was stillness in everyday life. And I find that when your karma, the way you interact, your relationships with the world, with your family, and even with your work family, I call that work family, I don't say my job. If you do it right, the return is that your mind becomes very, very calm inside. And it's almost as if you can achieve a level of stillness. And it doesn't even have to be because there's chaos and a lot of challenging things going on in the world today. But even in everyday life, you don't really have to be caught up in the everyday activity. Um, you can actually be beyond it. And and this is why I say meditation is a science, there's a science to it. Because I find now that your senses and the way we used them before with everyday activity, it even then it was generating so many different kinds of negative emotions. And now because there is an understanding of the value of stillness. And when I say stillness, I mean you are more aligned, you identify with with a, with the true self, and that you're not the mind. Notice in the scriptures before, that I read before, they always look at the mind as like a mirror. The mirror is not you. The mind is not really you, because what all the mind is doing is just reflecting back things at you. It's not. It doesn't have a mind of its own. It's just your memories and your feelings and thoughts are there, and so it's definitely not you. It's just reflecting what you've experienced and how you've reacted and how you deal what you have learned, or things like that. So if you identify with this, the one who's observing all of this, then suddenly things like judgment, being self-critical, and if those things are not healed, if those things are not, you don't go beyond them, then when crisis hits you, these these bad habits, they will really drive the mind crazy. They will, and it will make you lose your calm, lose your composure, lose your contentment, and then you're never able. Even your intellect becomes very, very weak. So this is why I was saying there's stillness, even in every, because most of our everyday activity is very repetitive. And sometimes I wonder, why do I have to be so caught up into, I'm driving to work every day. Why is it that my mind has to be wandering while I'm driving, when my mind could be still? It could be enjoying
Yes.
its own
Yes.
beauty, So, like this, as somebody said, silence is you. It's like you're in the lap of your own beauty. You're enjoying your own virtues and good and qualities, because there's so much power and joy and lightness and freedom in just seeing yourself as a being of light beyond looking at all of this. And in these troubling times, it's important to develop, to have that space that you could always go to, and like fly beyond. So I go, that's how I look at the mind. The mind is not me. The mind is the friend just telling me what is there. Even my dreams, it's my mind functioning. So it can teach me, right? So yeah, I just want to touch on that because of the topic we had. But it's a very
So
deep topic. But
it is,
given
well,
what we
it's very
discussed,
good, but and what you're doing is you're convincing me of the importance of a daily spiritual practice, for not to attain some type of lofty goal, but to be happy and joyful and have some support normally. And then if I'm feeling okay, my mind doesn't need to wander, because it's happy sitting still here. So that's why
yeah,
some people have, so the pandemic and the quarantine and the resulting quarantine for some people was very, very difficult, because it limited their choices of how to distract themselves. Whereas what you're talking about tells me that you love your own company and the quality of the thoughts that you have in your own mind.
right. And that is, this is clearly stated in one of the scriptures, that your mind can be your greatest enemy or your worst enemy. I mean, sorry, your greatest friend or your
Yes.
worst enemy.
Oh, I
And
get
you
it.
want to keep
Yeah.
your mind.
It's so true. And the crisis brings that out. Whatever's in there,
Mm,
the situation is so big, there's no time to hide anymore. Like, we're usually, if things are okay, we can kind of evade and distract and not really confront these issues that you're talking about. But the crisis brings it up, and what it brought up for you is how okay you were with yourself, even more than you thought that you were. See, even more than
exactly.
you thought that you were.
Actually,
It,
that's a very good point. During this pandemic, over that 1 year, I never really traveled anywhere. I stayed home other than work home. And I thought you might miss traveling, and then I realized, wow, I enjoy this. I don't even think I want to go
no,
back to this.
I know exactly what you mean. So you would say it's been a good thing. And would you say that your stage has improved as a result?
I would say, I don't know, it's been beautiful. The growth that I've had within this 1 year, I think I haven't made that much progress in maybe the last 5 years.
Isn't
It's,
that something?
I almost, yoga, at one time doing meditation was an effort. Now there's no thought of effort, there's no feeling of effort. It's almost like I'm in another world. There's a clear distinction between me and actions. It's almost like I am a being who's clearly just looking at everything, or I can choose not to look at anything, and I feel so free. And on one hand, you could say empty, and the other hand, I'm full, and the other hand, it's like my thoughts. I don't have to create thoughts. I am. It's almost sometimes you feel like you're beyond thoughts.
So
And
you're living you're actually living the knowledge now. See, that's what it's come to you, and more than you didn't even know. You didn't even know yourself.
yeah,
It's a wonder. It's a wonder.
it's like you're realizing consciousness. There's so much to discover about yourself, that you're marvelous. There's so much about ourselves that if we only know who we are, we will be amazed. And then we'll wonder why were we so caught up.
Well,
with
because
it.
we're not used to it, and we're not used to claiming. So a part of this is, in order to be still, I have to kind of claim my own sovereignty, over myself, over my sense organs, over my thoughts, that this is not just something I hope for, that someday will happen to me. It's my inalienable right as a human being.
One of there's a philosophy where it says, like Advaita philosophy, and they said nothing exists outside of your consciousness. Nothing. So if everything is within my consciousness, why am I blaming something
Yeah.
else, or someone else, or other events in the world, or the politicians, or the religious leaders, or whatever it is? I have all the choices in my hand to feel like I have self-sovereignty, and that I could be happy all the time or at peace, irrespective of whatever is going on the outside. So this pandemic has taught me a lot. I've grown a lot, and I'm very, very happy with my life.
Oh,
you know,
and thank you so much for sharing with it. I could feel it, and really, there's nothing like real experience to give experience. And just like you were saying about the great teachers that you have been in front of, you don't remember the words that they say. It's not about taking the notes. It's about the way that they look at you, of what they offer. I mean, a hand gesture, anything that happens that comes from such a person who's in accord with this, what I call divinity, it's going to manifest in everything that they do. So then there's no need to worry. And of course you can be still. Of course you can be still.
Yeah.
What it is for the rest of us is we're on this path of getting towards stillness. And the whole purpose of all these classes is we're looking for ways to inspire one another to say, yes, you can do it. Yes, you can do it. And it takes this, like this conversation that you and I are having together. I feel that's part of my own growth. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes, yes. And the same for me, and talking to you, because, you hear about each other and their efforts and their service, and it's so inspiring. And when you meet them also, the friendship, or there's something about feeling close to each other that is inspiring.
Oh, you're so right. You're
Yeah.
so right. I think, brother, it's a fantastic. Maybe now I'll just do a couple minutes of commentary and we'll meditate. Why don't you show everyone what stillness looks like,
Yes.
and I'll just share thoughts that seem to me of how I understand stillness. So let's just start off and make the transition from sound into silence. Let's use breath as a means of making that connection. So just sitting quietly and find a rhythm of breath that doesn't take you outward, but helps you settle down inward. The word stillness really strikes me as such a powerful thing. It's just a point of stillness that I could sit upon, sit within. I experience that stillness. I feel that stillness. And as I breathe, I know that I am also that stillness. It means I don't need. I feel complete. Not perfect now, but recognizing that myself, my real still self is that. And I'm really enjoying this journey of journeying towards stillness. One of the things that helps me is detachment. Detachment from my own fear and dealing with things and obstacles that come my way that I may feel that I can't overcome. But what sends me forward is love. The love that makes me forget about myself, to offer my hand or my help or whatever it is I can offer to another. And this is the experience that I see in you. That by offering myself, taking that step, it does take a step of courage. But the reward of that step is immense. It's pure. It's loving. It gives happiness. It receives happiness. And any effort that I make is given back 100-fold with the blessings and good wishes of others. I'm inspired, and I will continue to stay on this point of stillness. Om Shanti. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
It's so good that you shared, and you mentioned that you were a little bit not used to this platform, and look how easy it was when we got into it, because friendship is a real beautiful thing, isn't it?
It is.
The strength that it gives one another.
Yeah. Yeah, this is why they call us a family. We don't.
It's a family.
We spend only maybe a few years of our body life together, but yet we form such a bond. It becomes an eternal relationship.
Well, it's refining that relationship. That's why I said I'm glad to meet you again for the first time. So let's say
the first word Baba asked me. He said, "Have we met before?"
Yeah, it's a wonder, and it's wonderful. So thank you very much, and bye, and be well.
Thank you very much.
And see you again.
Yes, thank you. Om Shanti.